I'm Julie St. Cyr with the Big West Conference, welcoming you to a special Father-Son edition of Small Talk Wednesday. Joining me today from Cal Poly is baseball head coach Larry Lee and his son Brooks, a shortstop for the Mustangs. And from UC Riverside, baseball head coach Troy Percival and his son Cole, a member of the Highlander pitching staff. So I want to flash back to where it all started, and we'll start with the Lees, the Little League, the club, the travel ball. How much were you a part of that growing up?
A little bit. A lot of my teachings with him would be just sitting out off to the side and then after the game kind of explaining certain things. But from a standpoint of being there on the field with him, there were times at a young age, 8 or 9 years of age, and then maybe a little bit later in some of his club teams, but not close to 100% of the time.
So the college level then is basically a new experience for you to have, like full-on coaching with your son.
I wanted him to play for me and was hoping the same out of him. It was tough to kind of get a commitment from him. I remember coming home one night, and, I probably waited 9 or 10 months for him to give me an answer. And I walked in the door and he said, "Hey, Dad," or whatever it was, "I want to play for you. I want to commit." I just kept on walking. I said, "Whatever." And that was how, I welcome him into the program. So, but it's a real cool situation. Not a nervousness for me, but it's very emotional for me to have your son on the field. And I really appreciate the time that I could spend with him in practice, trying to give him everything that I could possibly give him in a 3-year time period before he goes off to professional baseball.
For the Percivals, same question for you, Coach. I know that, you being in the major leagues and having your son in the baseball as Little League, that's kind of a hard, travel and everything to kind of do both. But were you ever able to be your son's coach?
So yeah, I did it pretty much the whole time. As soon as I'd get home from my season, at the time my dad would take over the team. As soon as I got in, I'd coach him all the way through the off season, and then when I retired, I just kept going and managed his team all the way up to 14 years old, and then kind of let go when he got to high school.
So then going to college at Riverside was just basically a natural progression for the most part?
I wouldn't call it natural.
I wanted to go there. He didn't want me.
I just wanted to have him experience college away from me. But it's been great. I'd love to hear Larry's answers in 3 years, because I'm at the 3-year mark. There's a lot of definite positives to it. You get to watch your son play, and there's a fine line of how to do it. I told my coaches early on, I don't reprimand my son, you do. That way it kept daddy ball out of play. And it worked out really well. My coaches did a really good job with it.
Different. You have been coaching your son now for the 3rd year collegiately, and this is Brooks' 1st year at Cal Poly. So over those 3 years, how have you separated the father-son situation versus the coach-student-athlete on the field?
It was never a source of conflict. It always felt natural, felt like everything was the way it was supposed to be. And I thought I fit in nicely. This is where I wanted to be. So I kind of learned that since he is harder on me than anybody, I just, I know how to take it.
He ignores it.
Yeah. No one has been as hard on me as him. So it's really, I know how to take it when I deserve it, when I played bad, when I, did something I wasn't supposed to. There were some good ones.
This body language. Just remember that, Brooks. His eyes are always on you, so he misses nothing.
Is there any advice that you could give the Lees as they progress through the college ranks as the father-son, coach, student, athlete?
Well, that's about the only thing I can give that man advice on. He's been giving me advice for 5 years, and I've appreciated every bit of it. But maybe take a little more time than I did to actually enjoy watching him play. I've seen Brooks work out. He's pretty special, and he'll get an opportunity. I was calling pitches, watching my son pitch, and I got a little caught up in it sometimes because it's very hard to separate when you're actually a part of that game when he's pitching. But he'll get the opportunity to really watch how talented his son is and be able to enjoy it.
Cole, do you have any fun little embarrassing story on your father that you can share with us?
He does not.
Oh,
I bet I disagree with that one.
you know, most of the funny ones, I think. I mean, we have a lot of fun on the field too. So, of course, I think there's a lot of good ones. When, you know, when he throws on the cleats and actually throws to the team. So, I mean, it's pretty funny out there when you have him throwing from 60 feet 6 inches, and he's throwing 7 innings of no-hit baseball and against a Division I collegiate team. So, he's still got something left in the tank.
78.
We'll sink.
And what about you, Brooks? Any good stories about your dad?
Well, I mean, we took ground balls like a month and a half ago, and he ended up taking his shirt off and trying to take ground balls with us, a couple of the players. And he always complains about how he's still sore from that day because he hasn't taken ground balls in like 5 years. So it's been a while.
All right, so now, Dad, it's your turn to get a little revenge.
Well, I don't have a whole lot from the college years back when he was younger. I had one in particular. I just knew something wasn't right. He threw the first pitch of the game. It was a ball. I called timeout, first pitch. And as I'm walking to the mound, he was walking backwards. He gets halfway to first base, and I called him back over. I says, Cole, what's going on? He goes, we're going to lose. It's my fault. We're going to lose a game. It's my fault. And I had to look at him and just say, it's the first pitch of the game, but you are correct if we continue this. And that's when I learned. From there, I walked there behind the snack bar. And every time he went to pitch, I'd go get out of sight, out of mind. That was a complete game. But, had I just stayed in front of him the whole time, I think it would have been bad. But he's really learned from all of that stuff. And that's when I learned I was probably a little too hard on him. And I backed off a lot in the last 3 or 4 years. And it has worked.
Coach Lee, what about you? Any good stories about Brooks?
It would probably be like in the younger days. I remember it was just like a local team. We had like T-shirts for uniforms. It must have been age 8, 9, or 10. And I was coaching first base, and I think Brooks probably struck out, and he had that mope walk back, kind of like a Mickey Rivers walk, but dragging his bat back to the dugout. And my wife, who's basically the hammer of our house, she's the enforcer. She walked around the fence and walked to the third base dugout and grabbed Brooks by one of his big ears and literally dragged him to the end of the dugout to have some choice words with him about how to act. And the umpire said, "Hey, you can't do that, ma'am." And I just yelled out, I go, hey, just give her 30 seconds and this will be over with. And so that was a moment still etched in my mind, and it's pretty funny now.
I love it. She's like the referee for you guys and then takes the control. See, then the pressure's not on Dad anymore to have to coach the son, right?
Yeah. She's always been the enforcer. So
I got to say, is Larry good with us just calling it co-champions this year?
I'm good.
All right.
Tri-tip sandwiches are on me.